Hello, my name's Josh. Figured I would try to make a video. I'm going to document my life some and share with you all an illness that I've been dealing with for many years. I suffer and deal with anxiety disorder, panic attacks. Been dealing with them. I'm going to be 42 here before too long, and I've been dealing with these since I've been 17. It's something that I've noticed on YouTube a lot of females talk about, but I don't see a whole lot of the male population discussing their anxiety issues. So I figured I'm going to give it a shot. Not only am I going to discuss my issues, how I deal, how I cope with them, the types of treatment that I've been through, this, that, and the other. I'm going to share my daily life, the things that I do during the day. Right now, because of how bad my disorder is, they've got me on disability. I've been on disability for probably 16, 17 years. I'm not exactly sure. I would have to look that up, but no, it all started with me. I didn't grow up with the best of home life, but I'm not going to use that as an excuse or an scapegoat. But I ended up moving out of my house at 17. I was a runaway. Lived in my car for several months. Tried keeping in school and this, that, and the other, but ran out of money. Push come to shove, I had to get a job. I was offered a full-time day shift job at a restaurant. Pay wasn't the greatest, but it put food in my stomach and it allowed me to be able to get an apartment with some roommates. And at the time, to me, that was more important than my education, so I did that. One day I was driving just to go play some basketball with some friends. Coming down the hill, had my first panic attack episode, but I didn't know that's what it was. I just had a real racy feeling in my chest. Felt like I couldn't breathe, got all tense, clutched up on my steering wheel. It's like, oh, pulled over for a second, took a few deep breaths, thought, okay, I'm fine, continued driving down to where I was going. I just thought maybe it was an allergy related issue, so I didn't put a whole lot of thought into it. Later on that day, I'm driving home. I was probably about 15-20 minute drive away from the house, and it was very hot that day. I drove a car with no air conditioning back then. I had the same feeling come back, but it was much more intensified, a lot worse than what it originally was the first time. So I thought it was heat related, because I was just sweating like crazy, been playing basketball all day. So I ended up pulling into a yard. There was nobody home at the house that I stopped at. So I ran in their yard, used their hose, hosed myself all down, trying to cool myself off, thinking that that might help. At this point, not only is my breathing, I'm having trouble breathing, my chest is pounding 90,000 beats a minute. It felt like it was just gonna come out of my chest. My arms are going numb, my face is going numb. I couldn't figure out what else to do. Didn't know anybody in the neighborhood that I was in, so I hopped in my car, drove across the highway to the local business, went in there, and just walked in and said, hey guys, as calmly as I possibly could, but I'm freaking out, 17 years old, not knowing what this is, not knowing what's going on. I asked them to call me an ambulance. They asked what's wrong, I explained to him. So within a few moments of having an ambulance up there, the EMT thought maybe I was having a heart attack. So they're hooking all these machines up to me and stuff. And they're like, no, you're fine. I get to the hospital, they run some testing and stuff. Like, well, you're fine. Next thing I know, a nurse comes into the room, hands me a brown paper bag. She says, oh, you're just hyperventilating, sir. Well, I've hyperventilated before, and this was no hyperventilation. So, but I took it for what it was. I was at a place where I'd got professional treatment and help, so I went and did my thing. They held me there for a while. Now keep in mind, I'm 17. I'm a minor. They did not try to contact my parents, which was all right. I ran away from my mom and stepdad's house anyways. But they treated me, released me, sent me on my way. I was supposed to go play basketball later that evening with my roommates. We lived right across from a park. Well, I get home, I'm just tired, I'm freaked out. These 2 attacks that I had, not knowing what they are, took all the energy out of me possibly that I had. So I went home and just kind of curled up in a ball and laid down. Didn't know what was going on. Next day, get up for school. Or I don't get up for school. I had 2 roommates. I worked with one. We both worked the same shift, same job. Other roommates still went to school. So I always gave him a ride to school on our way to work. So I get up in the morning, go do that. I'm at work. Probably about not even a third of the way into the day, I have another panic attack. It was the worst one yet. Each time I started having these, they were getting worse. I was getting the blurred vision, numbness throughout my body, just loss of control of everything. And when you don't know what it is, it's a scary feeling. And a lot of people don't want to admit fear. And I was a healthy 17-year-old young man. I don't want to say I ate the greatest, but I didn't eat the worst. I exercised, played sports. I was very athletic, worked out a whole lot. Tried to do good with everything that I did. So to be feeling like this, I felt completely helpless and hopeless. I left. I went to the emergency room. And yet again, they run more tests and start treating me, and they can't find nothing wrong. Well, at that point in time, I figured, well, I needed a ride, so I called my mom. Hadn't spoken with her really since I had moved out of the house. Explained to her what was going on, so I come stay with them for a little bit. And things were starting to get worse progressively. It started to become a daily thing. And then progressively got to the point where it was several times a day. Got to the point where I would have them in my sleep. I was getting woke up from my sleep with panic attacks. So, through the help of my mom, she's the only one in my family directly that tried to do much. My stepdad didn't understand any of this anxiety stuff and just said, "Oh, it's all in your head. You're fine." So he blew it off for several years. My mom took me to get some help. For several months, I went through more treatments, more testing, scans, trying to see if there's anything wrong with my brain, blood work. They never could find anything. I was even seeking counseling because it was getting to the point where I went from a guy that was always on the run, doing things. It would be nothing for me to get in my car and pick up and go somewhere. I didn't want to get out of my room. I didn't want to get out of bed. I didn't want to think about doing anything because thinking about doing something was bringing on these anxious feelings. So through some medical help and counseling and a doctor and stuff, it took about 7 or 8 months of me feeling like this for them to come to the realization that I was suffering from a panic attack disorder. So from that point, I was put on some medications. They started helping. The first medication I was put on, it wasn't the psychiatrist that did it. Let me rephrase that. Psychiatrists did try medications first. They tried things like Thorazine and a couple other drugs that they don't prescribe much anymore, and all I would do is eat them, sit at the table, and drool all day. And to me, that wasn't a quality of life. I wasn't having the panic attacks, but I wasn't living. I was numb. I was like a zombie. And that was before being a zombie was a trendy thing, or before all the new drug addictions that make people act like zombies. So I talked to my regular physician. I told my doctor, I was like, well, this is what she's got me taking. The psychiatrist had me on 3 different meds. I explained to him what I was taking, and he said, well, you know what? Let's try this. He took me off all 3 of those meds slowly, and then put me on Xanax. as needed, not when I wake up, not as needed per panic attack. So I did that. When I went to go visit my counselor that was giving me all the other meds, she was a little upset at first, but eventually that didn't matter. She ended up losing her job for over-medicating patients, so I don't feel bad for her being upset with me. She seemed a little different, and anyways, my regular family doctor had me on the Xanax, take as needed, and I started breaking the cycle, started living a life again, doing things again. I never abused the Xanax. I never felt addicted to it. It was always a low dose. No problem. I'd say probably about 8 months into it, I felt like I was getting better, so I chose to get off the Xanax, go back to working again. Things were fine. Lived a normal life for several years after that. Well, I don't want to say several, because it all came back and hit me again after I was about 21, 22. But, I went a few years. Everything was fine. Met a girl, started dating, and things got serious. We got married, and but some of my anxiety issues started coming back while I was dating her. But they weren't as severe as before, so I didn't think to go get help. I tried to push myself through it. But it eventually got to the point where, after we'd gotten married, it got to the point where it slowly crept up on me, full-fledged, to not working again. And since then, I've been up and down with it, through several different medical facilities, different treatments and such. A lot of failed attempts of trying to get help. I'll share those in more videos. I don't want to give too much out at once. I'm just trying to do this to help others that may be dealing with this. Let other males know that, it's not just a female thing, because when I looked up on YouTube, all I saw was just the females talking about it. And there's a lot of us guys out there dealing with it, and I think maybe just some of them are just embarrassed or don't know how to talk about it. Well, I've dealt with this for 20 plus years now. I still don't understand it. I just know it's a uncontrollable feeling that comes out of nowhere. I'm one of the few people, in a category of people with anxiety that don't have triggers. A lot of people have triggers that bring on the attacks. I don't have any one specific thing that sets it off. So in future videos, I'll explain more on the feelings, more on what's going on with me, more on how I've dealt with it, some of the treatment that I went through, some of the places I've been in my life because of it. Believe it or not, there has been some good come from it. So I'll talk about the good, the bad, and I want to reach out there to help anybody that I can before they get to the point where I was at in life. And also, if anybody else has any advice on, something that can help me. I would like to see us all become, a community of help for everybody. Anxiety and panic attacks are two different categories, two different classes. A lot of people don't realize that. Anybody that knows anything about anxiety or panic think that it's all the same thing, and it's two things. I'll get more into that when we sit here for another video. I'm going to try to do these on a maybe a daily basis for a little bit. I'll try to do a daily vlog and see how this works. It's not always just going to be just me talking about my anxiety. It's going to be, I'll touch base with my anxiety. I might tell you how I've been feeling throughout that day, what I've done that may or may not help me cope with it, or just sometimes certain things that I do just keep my mind off of it. I've noticed over the past couple years, I've had a YouTube channel for my RC hobby. Just doing the camera stuff, keeping my mind focused in a positive direction has really helped out a lot. I've got a lot of hobbies, and I will share them with you all as time comes. If anybody has any questions, please feel free to comment them. I will create a whole new email. I'm gonna start a whole new YouTube account just dedicated to this. So I'm gonna throw my email out there. So if anybody wants to, they can email me and contact me. If anybody ever needs someone to talk to, no matter what time, day or night, email me. I always keep my phone on me, so my emails come directly to me. I will talk to whoever I can if it'll help you. I don't want you to feel alone, because when I was 17 and this started happening to me, I was scared, and I felt alone. I felt lost, and I know what that's like, and I don't want nobody to ever have to feel that way if they don't have to. So if you've made it this far in the video, thank you for watching. Please subscribe to follow me and subscribe to the channel. I'll be doing more discussions on things, sharing more of my life. I've got a 13-year-old son that is a big part of my life and a big part of what strives to keep me going and not giving up with things. And I'm sure I'll share things with him in some of these videos. He's a little ham. He likes to do video stuff. So this is where I'm going to end the video. Thank you all for watching.